Good morning, my plant-loving friends. Welcome to your Daily Plant Pulse, a podcast-styled series rooted in my deep fascination with plants. Here, plants go through a plant pulse research protocol where we uncover fascinating insights from scientific studies and share them with you. All studies I review are sourced in the description. I'm not a doctor, just someone who loves to research plants and present what I find. Our 9-part series takes you from an introduction to the plant through amazing studies and even an occasional bonus episode. Be sure to check out our Plant Pulse playlist where all of our episodes on all plants will be. And when a plant profile review is complete, explore our Living Library playlist for an in-depth consolidated review. We dig deep into history, forgotten studies, and untold stories so plants can have a voice and their story can be told. Welcome to episode 2, where we cover where various plants grow best, how to propagate them, and the care they need: soil, sunlight, water, and spacing. By the end, you'll know exactly how to get your plants started, strong and healthy. So let's get digging. Today, we'll explore how to plant and grow Dioscorea yams, a robust vine root crop that offers much more than meets the eye. Let's begin with where yams can grow. True Dioscorea yams thrive in tropical and subtropical climates, typically zones 9 through 12, where the soil remains warm and frost is minimal. For instance, the winged yam Dioscorea alata is listed for zones 9 through 11, and in cooler zones it must be grown as an annual. In zones like North Florida, you can succeed by timing your plantings after the last frost and protecting tubers before cold weather sets in. If you live farther north, you might grow yams in containers or a greenhouse to extend the warm soil period. So, how do you start yams? Unlike many plants, Dioscorea is best propagated from their tuber pieces or aerial bulbils, not by seed in most home garden situations. One source notes yams can be started from pieces of the roots from the heads of the previous year's growth or from aerial bulbils, as mentioned in the Survival Gardener blog. For example, you might cut a large tuber into chunks, each containing a bud or an eye to allow them to heal and have sprouts. Then you'll want to plant when the soil is warm, 70 degrees or more. Another recommendation for wild yam propagation is root cuttings are easier than seeds or bulbils. In your climate, plan to propagate after soil warms or all risk of frost has passed. And if you need extra time, you can always pre-sprout indoors. Once you have planting material ready, allow the cut ends of the tuber pieces to dry for a few days so they don't rot once planted. If pre-sprouting, keep the pieces in moist but not soggy medium in warm 80-degree and well-ventilated conditions. When planting outdoors, make sure the soil is loose, warm, and has good drainage. In cooler regions, you may start propagation in containers or trays indoors until soil conditions outside are favorable. For strong growth and large tubers, soil is very important. One expert says loose soil is important for yam growth. It's also important to have fertile soil. Well-drained, loamy, or sandy loam texture soil is ideal. pH you want roughly between 5.5 and 6.8. Keep in mind, if the yams are grown year after year in the same location, each year the yams will slowly lower the pH of the soil. So if you are in slightly acidic soil, eventually you'll get below that threshold, and what will happen is your yield will start to go down. So if you're in that situation, you can add ashes from a fire or any other method to increase that pH back up, or get your soil tested regularly just to be sure. because it does significantly impact harvests when the pH is outside of that range. Raised mounds or ridges help tuber expansion and avoid wet feet. Prepare the mounds 12 to 18 inches high. Space rows 3 feet apart to allow for ample root and tuber growth. Consider adding compost or aged manure before planting to enrich the bed. These plants love rich soil. Yams prefer full sun 6 hours a day to encourage strong vine growth, which ultimately drives tuber development. The winged yam is best given full to partial sunlight and, as discussed before, is a warm, loving plant. As far as watering goes, you want steady moisture during vine and tuber bulking phases. When the top 2 inches of soil begin to dry, water it. Avoid waterlogging. Tuber rot is the biggest risk. Some drought tolerance exists once plants are mature, but for maximum yield and consistent moisture is better. For spacing, plant them 2 to 3 feet apart. 3 to 4 feet apart with the rows, depending on vine length and tuber size. The larger tubers are going to be much more aggressive in the beginning of the year, whereas small bulbils will ultimately put out very little vine growth the first year, as they focus on, survival over expansion, especially if they don't have their water needs met. And companion plants, you're going to want to think about things that they can climb on. In the tropics, we have Mexican sunflower. There's corn that yam vines can climb. And you're also going to want to think about nitrogen fixing options such as legumes. Avoid any companions that are going to create overly shady or crowded spaces that block the sun and air movement. And keep in mind, when the vine begins to grow, keep it trained in the way that's going to, get it in the light and avoid any issues later on in the growing season. We've reached the end of today's plant polls, but this is just the beginning of our journey with this plant. Each episode will take us deeper, exploring its growth, uses, and unique wonders, and helping us to connect more closely with the natural world. Thank you for spending this time with me. It truly means a lot. I'd love to hear your thoughts, questions, or experiences with this plant. Was there something important I didn't cover? Or is there a plant you would like to learn about next? Reach out and say hi in the comments below. If you enjoy these deep dives into the life of plants, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Let's keep growing together, and until next time, let every moment bear fruit. The pulse continues.